Hi, everyone. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about the distinction between sexual health and sexual well-being and why that could matter to your own sex life or to your own sexuality. So, traditionally, public health has asked the question, is sex safe? Is it safe? Are you avoiding risks? Are you healthy? And of course, all of these questions are really important, but it's not all there is to the story, right? And Kirsten Mitchell and colleagues in 2021 in a Lancet Public Health paper, they suggested that, there is a big difference between sexual health and sexual well-being. So, of course, there's overlap, but it's not the same thing. Like, you could be free of sexually transmitted infections, you could never become pregnant without wanting to become pregnant. You could, everything might be functioning really well, but still you might not feel well with your sexuality, with your sex life, right? And so the authors propose a model that describes 7 pillars of sexual well-being. So to kind of show what that would entail. And they are very different from what one might think at first, right? If we think about sexual well-being, maybe at first we think about, how much sex do we have? What type of sex, how much fun, etc. But the authors start in a very basic way, and they do it even in a way that the concept of sexual well-being also applies to people who don't even have sex. So the dimensions that they describe are sexual safety. So do I feel safe? Do I feel not just physically safe, but also emotionally safe? The second dimension is do I feel respected? So do I feel like my sexual personhood and my personhood in general is respected? Is it, do I feel respected for who I am sexually? And then the next one is self-determination. I might get the order slightly wrong, but those are the 7 dimensions. Self-determination is, am I doing what I want to be doing and not doing the things that I don't want to do? Yeah, both of these aspects are important. The 4th one is sexual self-esteem. Like, do I feel good about who I am sexually? Do I feel like I have confidence? I feel, good about myself internally when it comes to the topic of sex and sexuality. Then next one is forgiveness. The term could be seen as a little bit difficult for some people because, of course, we don't necessarily want to always forgive. If harm has been done to us, some people argue that it's not always the best thing to forgive that necessarily. It depends. It can really help sometimes internally to forgive someone. Sometimes people don't want to forgive, and that's absolutely valid as well. So it's less about the term forgiveness. It's more about being at peace with your, maybe bad things that have happened in the past, and kind of saying, I have processed what happened and I'm moving on. I still have a good sex life, a good relational life. Then the 5th one is, I think I'm already at the 6th. It's resilience. So if something negative happens, like could be even something more innocent, like maybe a sort of dry spell or, awkward situations, like how do I bounce back from that? How can I handle those situations? The 7th one is then comfort with sexuality. Do I feel comfortable with the topic? Do I feel comfortable having sex or engaging with this topic at all? And so I think this is a really great model that describes the 7 sort of like basics, the like a fundament of what people need to feel well in the domain of sexuality. And why I think it can matter to people's sex life is if you just ask yourself these questions. Do I feel safe? Do I feel respected? Do I feel good about who I am sexually? Do I do the things I want to do, and do I not do the things that I don't want to do? Am I at peace with what happened to me in the past? How can I deal with setbacks and difficulties in the sexual domain? And finally, do I feel comfortable and at ease with the topic? Those are questions you can ask yourself and start your journey into maybe having more self-awareness within this area of life and maybe improving certain aspects. Because what is also very interesting is that the authors argue that sexual well-being is also not the same as sexual pleasure. They say that sexual pleasure, just like sexual health and sexual justice, they all sort of overlap with sexual well-being, but they're not the same thing. And why? For pleasure, you might ask. Surely pleasure is important, and I agree, pleasure is important for sexual well-being. But the argument is that in theory, you could have sexual pleasure, but still not feel really well overall in your sex life. Like imagine someone has great one-night stands or something and isn't really enjoying them, but maybe afterwards, like maybe this person actually is wishing for a relationship and is heartbroken and doesn't really feel good about their sex life as a consequence. So they might have pleasure, but not really holistic sexual well-being, right? And vice versa. In theory, you could also have high sexual well-being, but not have a lot of pleasure. Let's say if you are someone who says, I want to wait until marriage, which is a valid choice, but it's so someone who does that and who actually doesn't feel the wish or the need or regulates their behavior in that way, maybe they will report, I have high sexual well-being because I am acting in accordance with what I have chosen for myself, right? It's just an example. I'm not saying that's what people should do, all just examples. For someone else, it might be the opposite, or, having more sex, or trying out different things with a partner, etc. So all to say is that these concepts are different, and it might be worth asking oneself these questions that I just raised about one's sex life. And I don't think it's all there is to sexual well-being. I think these are the basics, this is the fundament. That's why we actually carry out another big project right now, where we, at the University of Pennsylvania, investigate, what else might be there on top of all these factors. I'm Dr. Vera Ludwig, by the way. I'm leading the Human Sexuality and Wellbeing project at the University of Pennsylvania, but this channel is separate from this role. With the channel, I just want to give some information to people about this topic. I think it's an area of life that's not talked about enough, and I hope that, hearing a bit about the science of it and the philosophy around it sometimes, or biology and neuroscience, that it can support people in learning more about it and feeling more at ease with the topic. Thank you for listening. If you like this, give me a like and subscribe. There will be more videos in the future that go in a similar direction. So thank you for being here.